So I actually recently just went to the drugstore and I saw a bunch of new Maybelline products that I haven't tried yet. One of them being the Matte and Poreless Foundation, which I know everyone has been raving about and saying is like one of the best drugstore foundations. So I finally gave in and I went ahead and I picked it up along with some other Maybelline goodies. So I thought I would go ahead and try them out for you guys on camera and let you know what I think. So the first thing I'm going to do, which is usually what I always do, I'm going to start out with my Cetaphil moisturizer because my skin is super dry. So I'm going to go ahead and pop that on first. And I like to focus this around like where I'm mostly dry, which is actually my T-zone. I know a lot of people are usually oily around their T-zone, but I'm super, super dry right around my nose and the center of my forehead. So that is on, and then I'm going to go in with the Maybelline BabySkin Pore Perfecting or Instant Pore Eraser Primer as well. And again, I'm going to try to focus it on the center of the face because right down the tip of my nose is where I have the most pores. And then I have a little bit coming up the side of my cheeks, but not as many, not nearly as many that I have on my nose. So I'm going to start rubbing that in, and then I'm actually, once I kind of get it going, I'm going to start patting it in to kind of get it really in there. A little bit on the chin, a little bit on the forehead. Okay, good to go. So I tried out this foundation, so this isn't like a super, super first impression, but it is fairly new to me, and I did pick up the wrong shade, so just keep that in your mind, like, I picked up the wrong color. Totally. Like, you would think after going to makeup school I would be able to sit and pick out a foundation that worked for me, and, you know, apparently we just all have our off days. So this is the Matte and Poreless in shade 112. I definitely should have gone lighter than that. I was the tiniest little bit tan when I went to the drugstore, but it's a little crazy. It is super thick, I will say that. I don't know if you guys can see, but it is a pretty thick foundation. It's not very watery. So the way I kind of like to do it, or the last 2 or 3 times I did use it, I just dotted it all over my face and then went in with my Real Technique sponge. So that's what I'm going to do today. And we're done. No, I'm kidding. We're going to blend it out. And I do take this down the neck too, and to do that I take my Morphe M439 just because it's bigger and a little more dense. So I'm going to go ahead and try to grab that, which is right here. So go ahead, and I like to press it in the skin. I know that when you use a sponge that has water in it, it tends to soak up product, as you can see, but I don't like to barely touch my skin with the blender because then I feel like it's not really blending, it's not really getting into the skin, and even though foundation is not really the one thing you want in your pores, I just like getting it really in there to make it look like real skin. So again, keep in mind this is not my color. It does, like right now, it looks totally normal, but by the time I add concealer, contour, bronzer, and anything, it does oxidize the tiniest little bit. So, but I do like this foundation a lot. I just definitely have to go pick it up in like my actual shade. And I did notice I tend to mix, I mean, you guys know I mix my foundations all the time. I've been mixing this one with the L'Oreal Pro Glow because that one's a little lighter, but I do like the finish of this, and I thought I would hate it because, again, as I just said, I have super, super dry skin. So anything with the word matte in it, I'm into like, no thank you, I'll pass on that. But everyone has been talking so highly of it for so long. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll give it a shot. So now I'm going to go in with the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Concealer. So I'm going to pop this under my eyes. I do wish this was a little tiny, tiny bit lighter because right now it's like barely lighter than my like face. And I do like a pretty bright like under eye and highlight and stuff like that. So that's really my only concern with it. When I am tan, this is great, and I have a different shade for when I'm tan. I usually use that for pageants. So I love this concealer 100 million, billion, trillion%. I just wish they came out with a couple lighter shades because that would help me out. So I'm going to pop this underneath my eyes. Like, you guys see what I mean? Like, it's there. It's just not as bright as I usually like to have it. Do that part of my concealer face on my chin, Cupid's bow, nose, and forehead. I like a super bright forehead highlight too. I don't know. Obviously my last video is about RuPaul's Drag Con, so I'm like a huge RuPaul fan. RuPaul's forehead highlight is always, it's like amazing. I don't understand how they do it. and it drives me nuts. But that is like my ultimate goal, is to have RuPaul's like forehead highlight all the time. I'm going to go ahead and pop this in. You can also, I'll show you guys, if you go right underneath the cheekbones, because I don't have a cream contour color from Maybelline. I don't know if they make them. Oh wait, no, oh my gosh, I'm totally lying to you. I do have the Master Contour stick, and it has gotten quite a lot of use. I don't use the highlight side. That's the only thing that bothers me, is because like the contour side I've used so much, so it's really hard to get a more precise contour. But I'll show you guys what I was going to show you anyway. So usually if I'm not cream contouring, I like to go in with my concealer and just go right underneath my cheekbone, right there, because you'll see it'll give my natural contour a little more pop, like so. So then, now we can blend that all in. Blending, blending. We're blended. So now, because I do have a Maybelline contour product, I am going to go in with the tiniest little bit of that. I've been taking my contour a little higher up than I usually do, but I'm not hating the way it turns out. A little bit on the forehead, under my lip. Do that, and I'm going to take my Luxie stippling brush from the Wonder Woman collection, because this is like my go-to cream contour. And I like the way this blends out. It's super, super easy. And I'm not one to like try to keep my contour like directly in the same spot and like blend up. I like a more kind of just like a general gist. Like I feel like I use my contour more to bronze than anything else. Is that weird? But see, it just gives like a very overall bronzy contoured feel. Add some color back into the face. So now I'm going to go ahead and set all of that with the Better Skin powder. I've had this forever. This is in the shade 25 and I'm almost out of it. I'm really almost out of it. I definitely need to go buy a new one, so I'll do that this week. I'm thinking about doing another drugstore like CVS coupon sort of video, so let me know if you guys want to see that, because I'm pretty sure Maybelline has a coupon out this week. Don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure they do. So I'm going to take this brush from It Cosmetics. This is like my go-to powder brush because it is tapered and fluffy, so you can get underneath your eye, you can get under your chin, on your jawline, so I love it. I'm going to go ahead and pat this in. This just it definitely sets everything, but it doesn't make your face look super powdery, and it doesn't make your skin feel dry, which I appreciate, but it definitely helps have like your powder bronzers and powder contours and anything like that, like just glide right over. I'm gonna get underneath my eyes, Okay, so that is what I look like set. A little bit of contour. Good to go. So I like beat myself up over this. I don't have a Maybelline bronzer. I know they have their Master Contour palettes. I'm pretty sure they just came out with Fit Me bronzers, or at least Fit Me powders that I can get in a darker shade to use as a bronzer. But I'm going to stick with the whole drugstore theme, and I'm going to go in with my Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, because this is one of my favorite bronzers. And I actually have it in both shades. I have it in the lighter one and the darker one. But because this foundation is a little dark for me, which like it really isn't coming across on camera as too dark for me, but in person, like my face is definitely a little lighter or a little darker than the rest of my body. So I'm going to go in with the lighter bronzer, which I'm clearly running out of, to just add like warmth and a little bit more contour, but without making my face significantly darker, like darker than it already is. So this is also, this is a Morphe M500. I used to go in with flat paddle looking brushes like this one from Real Techniques, but I found that this one and brushes shaped like this, I have one from Luxie too. I use one for bronzer and one for blush. I just like the way this kind of like dusts on product without really packing it on, but you can still kind of build everything up with these. So these kind of like fluffy tapered brushes are my absolute favorites to do bronzer and blush with. So I'm not going to really focus on the contour areas of my face. I'm just kind of going like, yeah, underneath my cheekbones, but bringing it up a little bit onto the apples of my cheeks as well. Again, to just get an overall kind of bronzy look. Call that done. So Maybelline has a bunch of blushes, and I didn't want to pick up like a generic one that everyone knows exists and everyone knows and loves. So I went with the Dream Bouncy blush by Maybelline, and I went through a phase where I was obsessed with these and I had like 8,000 of them. I think I have 3 or 4 right now. I will say with these, you don't want to use, like I just told you guys, I love to go in with this brush for my blushes, but because this is more of like a cream consistency, you can kind of see it. It's kind of like, I don't know if it'll do it. It's kind of like a putty almost, like you see that. You can't go in with a really fluffy brush like that because it's not dense enough to pick up the product. So I'm going to go in with my Sephora blush brush if I can find it, which knowing me, I'm probably not going to be able to. Let's see here. Oh no, we're right there. This brush, I don't know if I said this in one of my other videos, but my dog actually ate the bottom of this brush. I'm surprised he hasn't come in here yet. But yes, I swear it's clean and everything and sanitized. It's just missing the bottom, which I think is hilarious. So I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to fluff it out a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and tap into here. I'm not going to really swirl around. I'm just going to pick up some of the product and I'm going to stamp it on the apples of my cheeks. There we go. I like this blush a lot. I feel like it's definitely one of the more underrated ones, but it's super buildable, which I like because I like sometimes I don't like a lot of blush because I do get really red. Just like in general, my face gets really red if I'm like working out or something. So I've always had this fear of like putting anything resembling the color red onto my face. And I'm like, no, like I'm too red, I'm too red. So I've just recently been like getting into blush and stuff like that. But this is one I like because it is buildable. Like even right now you can see that added way more color. And then if you don't, like if you feel like, oh my gosh, I went a little crazy, like gotta tone it down a little bit, you can always go back in with your regular powder brush. This is like a trick I love to do. And just go over it a little bit and that will smooth the blend between like your concealer and your blush and your blush and your bronzer. So that's something I always like to do. So next is everybody's favorite stuff. And this is, I mean, I can't even say that I'm surprised. This is the Maybelline Master Chrome that everyone has been going absolutely insane over. Pardon my baby hairs. Sorry. I woke up this morning, I was like, Katie, we gotta film a video. And I threw my hair up and I was like, let's go. Let's do it. I mean, it's not really morning. It's like 12:30, but you know, morning for me. So this is the Master Chrome that everyone has been raving about. You can even see in the pan how metallic it is. Now I will say the formula, great. The like how metallic it is and how highlighty is great. However, I am not someone who is like tan enough to do a super gold highlight. So I have been using this. I have been loving it. I just wish they made, again, like a lighter one. Maybe it's coming in the future. Maybe I'm totally like behind the game and they're making a different one or like a lighter one in the near future. But that would be really great because I can't always use a gold highlight like this. So I'm just going to go in a little bit on my fan brush and angle my face. And what I like to do is I start right up here. I do a little, like even already, that's crazy. So I start doing some of that and then I kind of like flick of the wrist. I flick my wrist a little bit to use like this part of the brush because that usually has more product on it. And I kind of feather it down and feather it up and then you are crazy highlighted. So again, I love it. Like this is an amazing highlight. I don't wear gold highlights a lot because I'm super fair. So again, on this side, same thing. I'm going to use the side of the brush right here a little bit and then flick it upwards, feather it down, and feather it up. Bam. Again, it's great. I absolutely love it. I'm going to do the tip of my nose. Cutest bow. Above my brows a little bit because I don't want to look greasy. So that is my face. So after this, obviously I would set my face, but I forgot to pick up the Maybelline Master Fix setting spray, which I did. I went through a phase where like that's the only setting spray that I use and I do really like it. So I'm just going to go in with, this is so confusing. So it's the Pixie Glow Mist, but I don't love the nozzle on the Pixie Glow Mist, like this big hunkin' nozzle. So I actually poured it into an empty Urban Decay setting spray because I like the sprayer on this. So I'm going to go ahead and spritz my face. Watch me have none left in this. Come on, you can do it. There we go. Okay, close enough. You guys get the idea. And then I like to go over with my Beauty Blender, just over the spots I highlighted a little bit to kind of melt that into the skin a little more and get everything really put together. So next comes the eyeballs. And this I'm so excited for. I've been trying to get my hands on this forever. This is what everyone has been talking about, the City Mini Palettes. And I got the shade, well, first of all, what is this? This is Chill Brunch Neutrals. And I'm a sucker for purpley eyeshadows, like 1,000,000%. I'm obsessed with them. So this is definitely one I wanted to get my hands on. And I also saw Laura Lee's look that she did with this, and just all over the place. It looked like a really nice palette to have. So I went ahead and picked it up. And I did not want to get my hopes up about it. I was like, it's drugstore eyeshadows. I don't know. You know, I'm a ride or die for my Modern Renaissance and my Jaclyn Hill palette from Morphe and my Sugar Pill shadows and all of this. So I didn't want to get my hopes up, and I didn't want to like have super high expectations because I didn't want to bash on this product. And then I used it and I was like, oh, like girl. So I love it 100%. I will say, not a huge fan of the shimmers, but the mattes in here are great. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take this really fat brush from Real Techniques, and I'm going to tap into the white shade, like this bony shade right here. And I'm just going to set my lids with that. So I have a smoother base to put on these shadows, like so. And then I'm going to take, this is going to be super simple. This is why I love this so much, because it takes me like all of 2 seconds to knock out an eye look. So I'm going to take my Morphe R36, oh, I totally lied, R37, and I'm going to pop it into the lightest purpley shade right here. Tap off the excess. There is a bunch of fallout with these, I will say that, but I don't notice it. Like, I notice it in the pan more than I notice it on my eye, which is, I mean, again, not awful, not great, just something to be aware of. If you don't like fallout, you might not like this. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to go in the crease of my eye, like a little into the transition area, but focus it on the crease so I get kind of like a blown out look. But again, you can already see how pigmented this is, and they blend out so easily, which is really, really nice. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to dip back in, tap off, go in the other eye. So I don't know if you guys noticed, but my eyes are actually 2 different shapes. So I've been trying so hard, like I've been trying different techniques to get my eyeshadow to look the same shape on each eye, and it is so much more difficult than you would expect it to be. Like, it's so frustrating sometimes because like the color, the darkness, the blend, and everything will be like totally perfect, and then like just my eyes are 2 different shapes, man, and it's difficult. It's a struggle. So now I'm gonna go ahead and take this tiny little tapered brush. I believe this is from Morphe as well, because I'm gonna go in with this dark purple to go into my, like, the outer V and the crease a little more. And then do some of that, tap it off, and this is what I like to rest my elbow on my table and kind of tilt my head up to really get into my crease, again, because I have to make sure that I'm blending my eyeshadow in the same direction because the whole 2 different shaped eyes situation. So look at this ponytail, so swingy. Okay, Katie, focus. So usually I like to tap on the outer corner first, like that, just to darken it. And then I'll start slowly blending in. So now I'm going to go in with a flat shader brush. Again, if I can find it, I'll give you guys like a little view of what my makeup table looks like at some point. But right now it's low-key a hot mess. So I'm going to go take, this is I think a MAC 242, just a regular flat shader brush. And I am going to, you can't see, but I have a little cup of water right next to me. I'm going to dip the very, like just the tiniest bit of this into the water to get it damp, because I think the shimmer shadows will work a lot better damp than they do dry. So again, just like the tiniest little bit of water. I'm not trying to get my brush like soaking wet or anything. And I'm even going to go ahead and like tap it on my hand to just get it dampened. So I think I'm going to go in with this kind of like, I want to say pewter. I feel like that's a color name that like no one uses, but that's what I think it looks like, is like pewter gray. Like, it's not really gray, it's like a little browny. But anyway, I love shades like this, like cool tone, silvery gray sort of situations. I just think they're really pretty, so that's the one I'm going to go in with. So I'm going to take a couple swipes of that. And you can see a lot of product comes onto the brush. It just, I feel like it doesn't always translate well on the lid. I don't hate it. I'll say that much. I do not hate it. I just feel like, because it might be like a glitter overspray or something, I'm not sure, but it looks so much more shimmery in the pan than it does on my eyelid. Okay, I like that. I definitely recommend getting your brush damp though, because that did help a lot. When they were dry, I was so disappointed with them. I was like, how is this even possible that these mattes are so good and these shimmers are such a mess? I thought mattes were the hard ones to create. So then I'm going to go in first with a big fluffy brush. This is from Sonia Kashuk, and this is the number 109. This is my favorite, absolute 1,000,000% favorite brush to go in with like a light transitioning crease color. It's just so fluffy and it does such a good job of blending everything together. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to run it like on my outer corner to feather everything out again. I'm going to take it up a little bit. Again, this is just to kind of smooth everything out, any blends that I might have missed. And we have a nice little like gradient eye going on. And I will take a little bit of the darker purple shadow on like an angled brush or a pointed little like pencil brush like this, and I'm gonna run it underneath my lower left. If I can freaking open this again, oh my goodness. So yeah, a little bit of that dark purple just right on the outside of my lower lash line. Sorry, I have to get really close to this. Fun fact, okay, this is so funny. So I have a really irrational fear of eyeballs, and I know it sounds ridiculous. I just hate eyeballs, and I don't know why. And it's funny because I sit here and I do makeup, but I just don't like eyeballs. So I have like this irrational fear that I'm gonna poke my own eyeball out. So I get super like abnormally close to the mirror when I'm doing anything like on my lower lash line, because I just, safe than sorry. So I'm gonna go ahead and blend some of that in, connect it to the outside of my eyeshadow on my upper lid, like so. And again, that's just to get some color under there, blend everything together, and get a coherent, oh, that was a good use of an SAT word, coherent. It's a good word. Blending, 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 with my mouth open, because that sounds obnoxious. Okay, so that's good. Now I'm going to take the Maybelline Precise Skinny Eye Pencil, and I'm going to put that in my waterline. I'm such a fan. I see all these people have these gorgeous looks with like nothing in their lower waterline, and I just can't do it. Like, I have to start venturing out of my comfort zone, but every time I look at myself without anything in my waterline, it just freaks me out. I'm like, no, Katie, that doesn't look right. Like, I always go in with black liner in my waterline. That's just a personal preference of mine. If you're not a fan of liner, you don't gotta do it. So, but that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and pop this in like so. And again, don't poke your eyeball out, because that would be bad. There's one, and 1.5, and 2. So the reason I like this liner is because it is super skinny, so you can get right into your waterline, but it also is so creamy that I feel like with some eye pencils like this to get in your waterline, like, you have to be constantly going back and forth, and that can really irritate your eye, and it increases the risk of you scratching your eye, like, with a pencil like that. So I like this because it's like 3-4 swipes and I'm good to go. So I used to have this great eyeliner from Maybelline, this liquid liner that I love, and it is the Glam Eyes. Is that it? No. There's definitely a liquid liner from Maybelline that I'm obsessed with, but I do have their Eye Studio liner. So that's what I'm going to use today. You guys know I usually go in with it's actually right here, my Physicians Formula like liner pencil, not pencil, but like the felt tip thing. That's what I usually do my wings with, but today, since we are trying for the most part to stick to Maybelline, besides I think my setting spray and my bronzer, I'm going to go in with this. And I have a Maybelline mascara as well. So this is my trick. I don't like doing gel liner with angled brushes or flat brushes or anything like that. So this eyeliner is from Rimmel, and I like the applicator on it, so I use this applicator to like get my gel and use that rather than like a brush. I just think, again, I think I talked about this when I got my eyeliner from Physicians Formula. I like very like fluid sort of like liner brushes because I feel like they're not so stiff. So all I do is I pick some up on this brush. I'll kind of roll off the excess on my hand, and then I will go in. Again, I have to get really close for this because the whole eye shape. You guys are probably gonna get tired of hearing that. But I'm just gonna go like that. But this eyeliner is super creamy. I think I've had this one for like way more than I probably should have, but it's still super creamy. And it doesn't take a lot to get a lot of color payoff, which is a good thing because no one wants to spend 20 hours on their eyeliner. Unless you do, and if you do, that's fine. But this will not take you 20 hours to do. There we go, there's one. Pop on the other one. Okay, so my liner is on. I just did a very thin black line on my top lash line. I didn't do a wing. I didn't go crazy because we got the eyes look pretty smoky. So I am going to curl my lashes. This is not a Maybelline eyelash curler. I don't know if they make an eyelash curler. If they did, I did not see it, but this is from L'Oreal, I think, Rimmel. I don't know. It's just a regular eyelash curler. I'm going to go ahead and curl them. And you guys know I'm a huge false lash girl. I have like a hoarding problem with them. I have an entire drawer of them. But today, for the sake of the video, I'm just going to go in with the Maybelline Colossal Big Shot Mascara. This is the one everyone has been freaking out over, and for good reason. It is a great mascara. So that's what I'm going to use today. I've been switching a lot back and forth between this one and the L'Oreal like Lash Paradise one. Those are definitely my two favorites. So, this is great. It makes your lashes really dark and really defined without clumping them up. And sometimes I like clumpier lashes, but then I'll use a different mascara for that. The Maybelline The Spider Lash is really good if you like more clumpy lashes. The Spider, actually, I think I might have it to show you. Or I might have thrown it out. I'm not sure. I think, no, I do have it. So this one, the Spider Lash, if you like clumpier lashes, you'll really like this. And this one too, you can do a couple coats without your lashes getting like cakey. Can lashes get cakey? You'll know what I'm talking about. And go in with the other one. There we go. We got some lashes. I'm going to pop some on my lower lashes as well. I will say this wand is a little big to do lower lashes with. So you definitely want to be careful. But it does darken them quite a bit and make them like more visible. I will say sitting in my room and talking to my computer has gotten a lot, maybe not, maybe I just jinxed myself. I will say that sitting in my room and talking to my laptop has gotten a lot less weird since I started doing this. I mean, it's still a little weird, but at first I was like, Katie, what are you doing? And now I'm like, nah, I'm talking to my computer. It's so fine. So there we go. And then for lips, this is my ultimate. This was in like my favorites, my August favorites, I believe. This is their Maybelline Color Sensational lipstick. This is the color Romantic Rose, shade 450. And this is like such a good pinky. It definitely leans more on the pinky side than it does the nude side, but it's just like, if you ask any of my friends, this is like a typical Katie color. And I like these lipsticks. The formula is great. They last forever. And I don't necessarily need a lip liner with them. I've never been a huge lip liner person. I do sometimes for like dark colors or like nudes that I have matching lip liners for, or like bright colors. But for nudes and like light pinks, I just like to go in and go for it. So that's what I'm going to do. There we go. So I will say if you want to darken this eye look, sometimes if I'm going out or to an event or something, I will add black on my outer V. I'll smoke that in. I'll do a wing liner. And again, I'll add that little bit of warm brown in my transition area just to kind of add some more oomph to the eyes. But for a regular going out, like, not going out, but like a regular everyday, like, oh, I want to throw on some makeup to go to lunch with my friends or something like that, this is what I usually stick to. I started doing my brows a little more because I feel like I can't really talk about makeup if I don't do my brows. I'm just super hesitant to do it. So I'm going to take my Anastasia Brow Wiz. Again, this is not Maybelline. I need to try some of their brow products, but because I've never been a big brow girl, I've not tried a lot of drugstore brow products just because I never needed them. So I'm going to spoolie out my brows first, like so. Just a little bit. And honestly, most times, like if I feel like I need something done with my brows, I'll just spoolie them and be like, okay, cool, that's it. But today, okay, here is my brow dilemma. Clearly, I am very pale. Clearly, I have blonde hair. So if I go too dark with my brows, like I look crazy, which is not a good look. So what I've been doing, and especially if I go too heavy in like the front of my brow, like everything just kind of comes in and it's very like sunken in, so I don't like it. So what I do is I take this and I do little baby strokes, and I start literally about here, and I'll stroke that way, and then I'll spoolie it into the front of my brow, so I'm not putting actual product in the front of my brows to prevent them from going too dark. So let's see if I can like do this in the mirror and try to show you guys at the same time. So I start right about here, and then I start, and even this color is so light, so you probably can't even tell that I'm doing anything, but I promise I am. And then I'll go darker on this part of my brow. So that is literally all I do. I mean, you can definitely tell a difference between this brow and this brow, but usually I don't do anything like this because I don't usually touch my brows. So there, I technically have brows now. So I think I'm going to go in, I'm going to take the City Mini palette again, and just this tiny little, oh my gosh, I always have this problem with nails. Okay. So I'm going to take this little detail brush, I'm going to dip this in a little bit of water, and I'm going to go in with this kind of champagne-y gold color, and I'm going to pop that on my inner corner. There we go. I'm going to call this done. So this is my full face of mostly Maybelline with like 2 or 3 exceptions, I think. Yeah, I'm into it. Foundation, 100% recommend. It does oxidize a little bit. You can probably tell a little more now than you could at the beginning. But definitely, I'm pretty sure CVS and like a bunch of drugstores have a pretty fair return policy. So worst comes to worst, if you go home and it's not the right color, you can always go and return it for the right one. But I love the foundation. I love the finish of the foundation. It's matte without being drying, which is a big plus for me. Concealer, again, 100%. I use it when I'm tan. I use it when I'm pale. I use it when I'm sick, when I'm healthy. I don't even know. I use it all the time, is what I'm trying to get at. What else did I try? The Better Skin powder, 1,000,000% obsessed with. I do want to try the Fit Me loose powders that they just came out with, so let me know if you've tried those and how much you love them, or if you hate them and I should just avoid it like the plague. But for the most part, I'm a fan of their, is that wind? You might be able to hear wind right now, I'm so sorry. It's like almost, I live in northern New Jersey, I think I've said that before, and we're at the point where like it's almost fall, but not really, so it's like really windy outside, but it's like 90 degrees, and I'm just like, what are you doing? So if you hear a bunch of wind, that's why, because this is actually, I'm sitting in front of my window right now. The contour stick. I love the contour shade on this. I do not like the fact that it comes with like this highlighter side just because I don't use it. So it's really hard, again, as you can see, if you look at it from this way, this highlight side is all the way up here and this contour side is all the way down here. So sometimes it's kind of difficult to strictly use the contour side. So that's really, like, the formula and the color is great. I just wish, like, they would sell a contour stick that's, like, just the contour stick, if that makes sense. What else did I use next? I did the powder. The Dream Bouncy blush, totally underrated, 100% obsessed with these. You can pop them out of the pan and throw them in a Z palette, which is usually what I do. They come in, like, they have a lavender color, they have peaches, they have bright pinks. I think they have brighter pinks than this. They have a couple browns in there. So this is just a really nice, like, light formula that adds a little bit of the flush to the face without being like, boom, girl, you got some blush on. So this is definitely a blush I recommend, personally. Bronzer, y'all probably don't care about. You know, it's my favorite bronzer. It's not from Maybelline. The highlighter, 100% love. Again, I just don't reach for gold highlights as much as I do like other highlights, like lighter highlights. But I love this a billion trillion %. I don't want you guys to think that I don't like it because of the color, because I still use it a lot, just not as much as I use some of my other highlighters, strictly and only because of the color. The formula is great. It applies beautifully. It's a great, great highlighter. I just wish they had more colors in it. City Mini palette, 100% obsessed with. I will say that I noticed some of the other palettes aren't nearly as versatile in terms of shades. Some of them don't go together quite as well as this one does, but this one is definitely the one that called my name the most. I will say the mattes are easier to work with than the shimmers, but overall I didn't get a bad shimmer payoff, just not as great as some of my other shadows. So definitely look into those. What else? The Big Shot Mascara, 100% obsessed. The primer, 100% obsessed. I would say for the most part, Maybelline is a really solid drugstore brand. And I feel like drugstores have definitely been stepping up their game with all of the luxury high-end brands that have been coming up with, honestly, for the most part, flops. I know there was huge drama with the new, the brand, the Anastasia Beverly Hills palette. There's been YSL products that haven't necessarily been the best. So you could definitely, you know, go to the drugstore and use all the coupon tips that I give you guys and come up with a great face like this one. That sounded so conceited. Oh my goodness. I did not mean it that way. But a nice, coherent look. Like a conclusive, consistent look. That's what I was trying to say. I promise I'm not that obnoxious. So yeah, for the most part, Maybelline is probably one of my favorite drugstore brands to go to. They're coming up with a bunch of new products. They are launching things constantly, and you know, it's a great price point. They usually have great coupons at CVS. So I would 100 million billion trillion % recommend Maybelline. I mean, I'm sure there's some flops in the line, but everything that I tried out today, I absolutely loved. So that is all I have to say about that. If you guys want to see more drugstore videos, absolutely let me know in the comments. If you want to see more couponing videos, also let me know in the comments, because that is one of my favorite things to do. So yeah, that's it. That's all I got. I love Maybelline. I love the look I came up with, and I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll talk to you guys soon. I love you so, 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 so much. Thank you for sticking around.